Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
What is up, everybody? And we are From The Sidelines here every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Here with Josh, Cody, and Jackson. And football is back. The drama, as I like to say, is at full peak right now. We had a football game last week. We'll have more football this week. We'll have football every single weekend until February going forward, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, let's talk trades, right? Let's talk about players that are not happy, right? I'm not happy. I've found $6.45 out of my piggy bank. I don't think that's enough to pay Terry McLaurin. I don't think it'll be enough to pay Micah Parsons either. So what is the solution here? Did you guys expect these trade requests this week? I'll get Cody. I'll let you get this started for us today. Did you expect these trade requests?
I would say Terry McLaurin. I expected a little bit more than Micah Parsons, but I would say that both scenarios could have been avoidable, especially the Micah Parsons one. I feel like this is just kind of classic Cowboys at this point. They just wait forever to pay their guys, and then the price just keeps getting up and up and up, and then they get caught in having to pay, Dak Prescott $60 million a year. So, like I said, I think I was more surprised to see Micah Parsons request a trade, but he's dealing with Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones, every time they put a microphone in his face, he's talking some kind of smack about him as well. So I think the solution is just pay Micah Parsons. He's 26 years old. He's one of the best edge rushers in the league, but doesn't look like they're anywhere close to doing that right now.
So it seems like there was a whole lot more to it than waiting too long too. What are your takes on them refusing to have his agent involved?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me either. It's like everybody has an agent. Like, this is just business as usual. So I don't understand why they're like trying to do something different. Even Lamar Jackson has his mom as his agent. So it's like everybody has an agent that negotiates with the owner, with the GM. So I don't get it there. I think the Cowboys are kind of just like the new Raiders when they had Al Davis. They're just their owner's getting in the way. He's making a lot more like problems for the team than he's doing good. And until that changes, I think we're going to see this like every year with the Cowboy stars.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Obviously, I think the one thing that Jerry Jones likes to do is he has this like weird thing where he's like, hey, come to my office and we just talk this man to man. Like it's like an old school thing in a way, but it's still really weird. It's almost kind of an asserting a dominance of power, just one-on-one. Because that's how he's done most contracts, where the player and him will just say, what do you want? And we'll work out the details. And that's how a lot of these contracts have gotten done. But at the same time, Mike is like, nah, like, all right, cool. Like, we got the framework of what I want. You know what I want. This is what we agreed to do. So now we'll make this work. But now I'm going to give my agent, like, Mula Gallo, who's one of the best agents who can finesse any team out of $1 billion. And now Jerry feels some type of way. But I feel like it's because I feel like Jerry feels like a gentleman's agreement got broken in terms of I'm a man of my word, right? But I think it's like a trust thing in a weird way, like a weird convoluted way. Like it's a trust thing for Jerry Jones.
Yeah, it all stemmed from a conversation like that. I don't know if it was in his office or they had met casually to chat, and it wasn't about the contract. Like, actually, kind of what you hear in these rumors is that they were meeting under the idea that they weren't going to talk about the contract. And then Micah allegedly says, what he thinks he would agree to, which everyone knows the best negotiator never gives the first price. And Jerry liked the price. So I would imagine that would be the motivation for Jerry, is he heard a number that he didn't probably expect. He probably heard a number that was something that he thought was kind of lowballing for Micah. And so he was like, all right, let's get it done. Let's do that. No more small talk. Let's get it done. Knowing that when Micah's like, oh, let me get my agent involved, his agent is going to be like, hell no. Like we can get you more than that. So I imagine it's probably a case similar to that. Of course, all of the specifics are hearsay. That's never really going to come out specifically.
We know if that happened before. Oh, sorry, before or after like the TJ Watt deal, because I think that's what's kind of happened this offseason. You see Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and TJ Watt get paid. It's like the price just goes up, and so yeah, you can have that kind of gentleman's agreement behind closed doors, but when things change, things change.
Well, according to one of the beat reporters, like in part of that conversation, Jerry and Micah had a conversation that had a framework of him becoming the highest paid defensive player once they got around to it. I don't know how much of the Myles Garrett and the TJ Watt contracts like mess with that. I'm not sure if that changed anything, but they had a handshake agreement to make him the highest paid defensive player, non-quarterback. But I think before Myles got that, I think it was Danielle Hunter, maybe around like 35. I think that was around the number. So like, maybe obviously like they was thinking about maybe 36, 37, right? So now it's up to like 42 is probably going to have to be the number, which is another 5 million per. So
yeah, so I got a few takes on this. So first I'll start with the whole Terry thing. It's definitely scary Terry for a reason. Obviously it's scary on the field, but also scary with the whole situation, him wanting that trade out. Then you got Micah Parsons, both in the division here. Y'all trying to trade out when you got the defending champs right here breathing down y'all's neck again. Like y'all figure you pay these man, right? Shut that team down. Let them know who's the lead boss of the division. But teach their own, I guess. And then hopping to the Micah Parsons quest, y'all brought up a good point of him, Jerry trying to talk to him with no agent. Essentially trying to have like I don't know if y'all remember the Jerry Maguire movie. Essentially, like talk about the whole, our bond is strong as oak wood and whatnot. I mean, if you break it, then so much for the deal and whatnot. But the crazy thing is, with not having an agent around, the purpose is knowing that's not their specialty, right? Their specialty as a players is to ball out, right? Budget is to ball out, and then you handle somebody else who does special that, who went to law school and that kind of stuff. The intricacies and the verbiage and all the jargon behind it, help support you, right? And all you got to focus on is how you tear up the field, right? Because not everybody can, wheel and deal, speak for themselves like Kirk Cousins can, right? I mean, his own personal best agent, he's making tons of money. I mean, he's not playing right now. He kind of sitting behind Penix. But nonetheless, that's absolutely crazy. I know both of them were speaking their minds for sure. I guess I kind of understand the Terry thing, kind of wanted to trade, but it's kind of left field with Micah. But you can all the things that y'all brought up before of they'll wait for the contract. Players will kind of hold out, stand by, and then next thing you know, y'all brought before, like I said, days leading into the first game of the season. Oh, look, breaking news. X, Y, to Z, big old numbers, and now they're signed, and now they're happy all of a sudden, and now they're ready to support their team and everything else between. But I don't know. If I have the team, I'm also a Vikings fan and whatnot, to say, Packers just won the Super Bowl or whatnot, I'm going to do what I can. If we can afford it, pay our players, take them out, let's make the division ours. But, I guess they don't want to win that.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest thing with the Micah Parsons trade and the trade request is versus Terry, and we'll talk about Terry in a second. Like it's still hard to talk about Terry McLaurin.
So sorry, dude.
But with Micah Parsons, like he wrote, this is like a social media post that he personally put out there, and he's just said like, I don't want to be here. Like he is coming out in public, like from his words, from his account, telling people I don't want to be here. Versus we're hearing through intermediaries from the Terry McLaurin that, hey, he requested a trade. That feels more strategic. Hey, like we got to put some pressure, trying to get some leverage back to help with these negotiations versus like I think Micah and Jerry, there's something personal going on. There's something that it's something that's broken in the chain of command. And it's kind of like obviously he understands that it's not a Singletary act, like it's not just him that has going through this situation in terms of like having to go through this process of getting your money. In terms of the superstars, I think their tight end just got paid and he didn't, no one heard a thing about that, right? But like in terms of your big, Diggs, Dak, CD, it's like, hey, you just got to play the game and you'll get the result at the end, right? But then it's like, no, I don't want to play the game. Like I tried to play the game, but this game is taking too long. And you playing, extra games this time. Then you starting to take shots at me, unsolicited. Then your son taking shots at me, unsolicited. So just like, you know what? Why do I have to put up with this? I just want to get my way to Dan Campbell and go to Washington and just play you guys twice a year and live my best.
You mean
life.
Dan Quinn?
Yeah, what I say? Dan Campbell? I say
Dan Campbell.
My bad. Dan Quinn, his favorite defense coordinator, the person he loves to pieces, right? So I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a very weird situation.
Yeah, I just think it's bad business by the Cowboys. Like we've seen them do this with Diggs, with Dak, with CD. CD they paid kind of early, but they always play the long game and always kind of play this. And then Jerry has to play it in like the media too. I just don't understand. Like they're not active in free agency. They're not a team that gets a ton of free agents. You've drafted all these players. They're all elite players outside of Dak at their position. Why would you play these games with them? I just don't understand. Sorry for the little slight Dak, but Dak was kind of true. But either way, it's like, why would you play these games with that? I just don't understand. I think it's just bad business by the Cowboys. I don't think either one of them, to be honest, get traded. I think what ends up happening is both teams end up kind of folding here. But you kind of played yourself into a corner with Micah Parsons. But looking at Terry McLaurin, that one, I don't know what's the end game for him. Like, is it mostly because like he doesn't want to get paid basically the same amount that they signed Debo for? He's trying to get the top 10 wide receiver money. Like, I don't know what exactly is the end game for him there.
I think honestly, speaking about the Terry McLaurin, so obviously Adam Schefter, who he's on my op list at the moment because he's just spewing a lot of nonsense, to be honest with you, this offseason. Terry wants to be respected, right? So a lot of the beginning offers that Terry McLaurin was getting was a slight pay increase from his previous contract where he was making about $23 million per. They kind of upped it to about 25 as just the early offers, right? Then it's been coming out that like their latest offer, they got up to 27. And so, which is like, what are we doing? Like, this is not moving it. Like, you've seen what I can do with terrible quarterbacks. Now I actually got a legitimate quarterback, and I had the best year of my career. So and imagine if we just continue playing with each other, right? And he's played at a top 10, receiver level. He's not trying to reset the wide receiver market, but he wants to get was owed to him. And I think it, again, like the floor is $30 million. I think if they would have offered him $30 million to start, this would have probably been done probably a month ago. But I am not like, I can't blame Adam Peters because he understands, like he's been like this way with every single player that we've negotiated with in terms of like, this is where we see your value and I'm not going to budge and not going to overpay certain players. And I know I can get someone similar, but like obviously now like this is dragged out to where it's like, it's not open free agency and you're not really going to get any game-changing players right now. But I think this will ultimately end around, I think he probably will wind up taking about $31.5 million a year. I think that's probably what the number they're probably going to settle in on. But it's I think it's just like, the Commanders are not budging, unfortunately. And so it hurts my heart because, like I know none of it, like all of this media stuff is like once you get into the media stuff and and you let your Schefters and your Rappaports and your Pellegrino, all of those, Pelisanos, whatever.
Placero, yeah.
They get in there, then it's like, okay, what did you hear? And then they heard a little bit of this, and you heard a little bit of that, and it's, the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? And I just think that it will get done. It will probably get done like later in training camp, unfortunately, which is a similar playbook to the 49ers. But we want him here. He needs to be here. And the longer that you hold out, unfortunately, the risk of injury amplifies because of how long it takes your body to get accustomed for the season. And so that's where I think also Terry loses his leverage as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to start by saying that I had a very, very early fantasy draft this year with my company. It was the huge one I told you guys, like way too many people involved, complete mess. Happened the day that he requested a trade, and he requested the trade around like 5 p.m. or something like that. It was the news broke pretty late, and we had a pretty early draft in the evening. So I got Debo late in the draft for no value, knowing that this is something that could pan out that way. I think that they'll ultimately strike a deal just because it's really not it's not in their cards to make a trade like that right now. But yeah, kind of to echo what CJ said, it's just kind of disappointing. If you're a fan of the Commanders or just a fan of football, you're kind of disappointed in the Commanders for putting themselves in this situation. They have this rookie quarterback that turned out better than they could have ever imagined for their rookie year. He looks to be able to lead them to great success moving forward. All they have to do is pay the weapon that has been his reliable target over his first year, right? They brought in the other target. They brought in another threat. They've got, a good backfield. They've got additions to the defense that they've made. Obviously, the defense isn't their strongest point, but they've made additions on that side. The only thing left to do is to pay his top weapon, and they're refusing to do so. And so you're frustrated as a football fan, not even as a Commanders fan, just as a football fan for you have the golden ticket right now. Everything as a GM has been laid out in front of you. You just have to pay the top receiver, and like CJ said, he's not trying to reset the market. He's not trying to break any records here, but he does deserve to be paid what he's worth. And that's well within what they can pay him. And they just haven't done it. That's what's so frustrating as a fan to see.
You brought up fantasy football too. Do y'all know what round right now he's being drafted at?
What?
Depends on the size of the league, but I would still probably say second to third round, just because of the uncertainty with the holdout.
Yeah, well, since then he's dropped down to fourth round consensus overall, since there's a little holdout thing going on, which is absolutely crazy when he's easily a top 10 dude. Like I said, he's like a second round, high third round dude. So if anybody's wheeling, dealing, and whatnot to try to get a bang for your buck in that fourth round, that's definitely something to hop on for sure. You see him still sitting there late in the third, late in the fourth.
Yeah. I mean, if you get Terry in that round, that's a steal.
Oh, for sure.
Because he's such a professional. And here's also a losing argument as well, or something also that could suck for Terry. You don't want to go down this path, but the Commanders, if they just are tired of this Buddy Baker agent who he also was the agent for Jeremy Chin, and Jeremy Chin did not like the offer that Adam Peters extended to him, and he wound up going to the Raiders. So could he be 0 for 2 with the Commanders and getting actual new money from them? We shall see. But also, Terry's still under contract this year. He could get franchise tag next year for around $28 million, which is what they want to pay him. Then he could get franchise again the year after that. So in theory, they have control over him for 3 years. So it's it sucks having to double franchise somebody, and no one wants to be double franchised. Obviously, Kirk Cousins, we did that before our history. Which I think if he goes on the second year of the tag, I think it'd probably be 30. I
think it's 32, something like that. Yeah, it goes up quite a bit.
So again, in the region of where you should pay him anyway, right? But that's fully guaranteed. And so it's in theory, they could do that. We have no one under contract past 2026, really. except for
Right.
like,
Ex Debo was just a 1 year.
Yeah, like most of everyone we signed a bunch of 1 year deals, a couple 2 year deals. So like the cap is not crazy. So it's like I get positioning everything. Obviously, if you did do your extension, like his real money probably would hit the year that you probably extend Jaden. But even still, like with Jaden's contract, he won't be a big cap hit for like 2 years, if that. So then it's like by the time that happens, then Terry could possibly be up again to like, you know what I mean? Like you could get this done. Like you could get this done
for sure. Absolutely, utilize the rookie quarterback contract for sure. Now is the time to do it. Hop on it. Oh,
well, yeah, and like you said, it's like you don't have any of your major weapons signed after 2026. You can get one done now, get him signed through at least like 2028, 2029 by the time that Jaden's deal comes up, and then you maybe have some free money then because he's probably going to break close to 70 when he comes around. But yeah, I would say you ready for that in about 3 years. But yeah, so I think it's a no-brainer at this point. I get why and Adam Peters, he's kind of done this in the past with the 49ers with guys like Bosa and Debo on the 49ers. So he's kind of used to doing this and playing the long game, but I don't know why you'd play the long game with Terry. 13 touchdowns last year. He's been your number one receiver basically since he was drafted, playing with just kind of scrubs until last year with Jane Daniels. So I think it's pretty much a no-brainer.
Hey, don't disrespect Sam Howell like that, okay?
Okay. College Sam Howell, we can have a conversation, but NFL is a little different.
Hey, man, that North Carolina team was so good. Him, Javonte Williams, De'Ami Brown. Who's the second running back?
Who was the other running back?
Who was?
Michael
I'm trying to think who else. Michael Carter. There we go.
That was a great offense. Mac Brown,
dude,
the OG.
Yeah, dude, that was a studly offense. But I saw a tweet this week. It just absolutely crushed my soul. It said, I was thinking for my fantasy draft, it would be cool to get Drake May, Josh Downs, and Amari and Hampton all on the same team. And then I remember that they went and lost to Georgia Tech.
Ouch. Yeah.
Hey, Georgia Tech last year were pretty. They were
pretty solid.
As much as he's been bouncing around, dude is a gamer. He's an absolute gamer.
They had that Georgia game. They blew it at the end. Yeah,
let's not go that far.
Yeah, they had
that
that
was
game,
such. Those overtime.
And they played like 10 overtimes.
Yeah, that overtime game had me like on the whatever. That was crazy. All right, back on topic. Let's fantasy book because I think Micah Parsons is more likely to get traded than Terry McLaurin. I think Micah is done, right? So if he is done in this scenario, let's live in this fantasy land, which I like to live in quite often. And you guys can let us know in the comment section as well. Who do you guys think that? Where do you think Micah Parsons will land? Let's get 5 teams, and let's all put them on our bulletin board, and that way we can say we predicted them first. Josh, I'll let you go first. What's that one team? Put one team that you want to put on the bulletin board that Micah Parsons could be a good fit for a trade.
God, it depends on cap. Whoever has a cap and is not already stacked already.
We're looking in the fantasy world. It could be wherever. Fantasy world.
Woo! Okay. All right. Who would God, can you imagine the Eagles?
Okay. Not I don't like that.
Not that kind of
You
fantasy.
just ruined it
No,
already.
we don't
you ruined the fantasy land, Josh.
We don't want to live in that fantasy world.
Bro, you say fantasy. I am high up there. God.
I mean, honestly, look, making an in division trade is not ideal, but if you wanted to get something back in return and get like if you can, I won't say you can fleece Howie, but you could get assets and draft picks back from Micah and then be kind of like, it wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah, otherwise, I would say the Bills, I think, could, benefit. Be able to stop the guys like, Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Burrow and the gang and whatnot. Or even, honestly, they don't want to play, their own D end. But can you imagine if you also went to the Bengals too, and whatnot? And just the whole AFC, man, is the whole monster. We got, plethora of quarterbacks you got to stop. And, God, wouldn't it be nice to have him on your side of the ball?
Okay. Cody, what do you think?
The Bills were going to be my fantasy team that I would pick just because, like you said, you want to stop Patrick Mahomes, you want to stop Lamar Jackson, and They don't really have that. They got an old Joey Bosa kind of now, whatever's left in the tank with him, and if he can even play a whole season. So I think that would be a perfect, but they don't have the cap space. So it's a fantasy for them, but it's not reality for them. I think reality, the Chargers, I think, can make a push. You got kind of an older Khalil Mack on one side. You still got, I think you got like 32 million in cap space. So they can make a push. You know, Jim Harbaugh loves his defense, loves to get after the quarterback, and they have Mahomes in their own division. So you definitely want to get after quarterback. So that would probably be my more realistic scenario or realistic team.
Okay. Jackson, what you got?
All right, I've got two teams, and they're both coached by coaches that love a good, strong defensive pass rush. My first one is Vrabel and the Patriots.
That's my ultimate fantasy, yes.
I think, yeah, right. In Cody's fantasy land, the Patriots, just because, you know, they're trying to make this jump with Drake May, who didn't have the season that Daniels had, but still has that upside that they believe in. Right now, I think they've missed out on getting him some weapons on offense, and so that's kind of where it wouldn't make as much sense because they're not in win now mode, but they are building quickly. And stacking that defense in a pass rush that Vrabel's always cared about gives Drake a better opportunity to play lower stakes football, right? Not having to score 30 points a game like Joe Burrow has to. Well, Joe probably has to score 45, 50, you know, to win these games. You know, I think it takes a lot of weight off of Drake's shoulders. So I kind of like them as a contender for Micah. And then my next one is a team that has a ton of new faces. They drafted a focal point of their offense. They brought in a new quarterback. They have a new head coach, and that's the Raiders. I think that the Raiders, with Pete Carroll coaching his boy Geno, they brought in their shiny new rookie running back in Ashton Jeanty, right? Brock Bowers is the top tight end in the NFL, right? And they don't have a good defense at all, right? That is a huge fault of theirs. But they have some young talent on that defense that, you know, a guy like Micah, who is still young, you know, I'm going to talk about him like he's a vet, but like he is still young, can really add to, mentor, and grow that defense. And all of a sudden, the Raiders are a really good football team. You know, with all these new pieces and weapons, all they would be missing with someone like Micah is maybe another, like, you know, a wide receiver. You know, that's a team that didn't really go get a wide receiver when they probably should have, to go alongside Geno and Brock Bowers.
I think the most logical and would be fun, just to see that headline, would be a Trey Hendrickson for Micah Parsons trade. And I think Jerry Jones will much rather pay the ballpark of how much Trey is looking for, and also low key to stick it to Micah Parsons if they're actually falling out, because Micah Parsons knows he's not getting paid in Cincinnati. He knows, you know what I'm saying? So I think Cincinnati could do the whole game that they normally do, try to get 2 years out of him, based off of franchise tagging and everything like that. And I think that just would be insane. And then if it makes him play, I think that would be a big piece for them. Obviously Shamar Stewart signed, and I've been seeing some highlights of him already, you know, being disruptive in practice, which is good. Obviously he's a little behind, but I think he can make that up pretty quickly. Yeah, and I think that would be fun, because the Cincinnati Bengals are a fun team. You know, they're a team that, like, people want to see do well. I think as Joe Burrow, I think he is a legitimate top 10, top 5, top 3, top 4 quarterback in the league, depending on the week. And then, you know, just unfortunately, you know, Mike Brown is just Mike Brown. So
I think that Micah would be just enraged by that deal, right? I mean, he would never forgive Jerry Jones for sending him to Cincinnati, where, yeah, he knows they won't pay him. It's Cincinnati, who does not value defense, so he's out there trying to carry the load for that defense. The only bright side I can see is that he gets to play alongside and mentor Stewart, you know, like probably playing opposite sides of the ball. They can have a decent pass rush, but I think there's too many holes in the defense. Like even with those two, they're still going to have some holes in the defense.
Yeah, they're gonna make Micah play every position. To be honest with you, he's gonna have to go back to linebacker. He's gonna play nose tackle. He's gonna have to do a little bit of everything. Maybe go out wide the corner. I think that would be the ultimate petty move for Jerry Jones. But yeah. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk about some Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame game just passed, and we had a Hall of Fame inductees. I want to talk about the Hall of Fame game first, and then we'll talk about the Hall of Fame. But Trey Lance, man, he looked pretty good, right? Cody, what do you think? Trey Lance he got a chance to maybe, I think I have a dream scenario that will be great for this team, because I've been hyping up Trey Lance all offseason because I just felt like there's still a lot of untapped potential. I truly believe that the 49ers just gave up on him and kind of just like they were looking for every reason to get rid of him, because he was fine after, when he first started. Obviously that, ankle injury was just unfortunate. Obviously getting hurt at the worst times were unfortunate for the 49ers, but I feel like they were just ready and just raving to get rid of him for some reason. And I think he's a little bit he looked really good at the end of last year for the Dallas Cowboys. And now with John Harbaugh on the Chargers, obviously it was the extra game for the playoffs. Preseason, excuse me. Right. But I don't know, man. Something about Trey Lance. Cody, what do you think?
Yeah. It's definitely the best I've seen him play. Probably, well, maybe not. He had some decent starts for the Niners when he started those first 4 games before he got hurt. But it's funny, you watch him play, and it's you realize he still hasn't played a ton of football in his career. He started one season in North Dakota State, and then their season was canceled due to COVID. I think they played one random game that year. Yeah, so pretty much just for him. So he hasn't. It's kind of like Anthony Richardson a lot. They haven't played a ton of football. So it's but I think he's actually better than Anthony Richardson, but that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, but it was good to see him go out there. I know it's probably against the Lions 3s, so I don't want to put too much stock into it, but it was good to see him go out there, have some good success. He's in a situation now. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh was a quarterback. Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. So you're in a good environment to learn how to play the position really well. And it looks like he is picking it up and learning there. And it looks like he might end up winning that backup spot. And, Justin Herbert's not obviously you don't want to wish this on anybody, but he's not the most durable quarterback. He's had some injury concerns. So maybe a game like that can kind of help the Chargers kind of have a little bit more comfort that, okay, Justin Herbert does go down or does miss some time. We have somebody that can come in here and actually play decently. The one takeaway I would have from the game is maybe that's not the case on the other side. The backups for the Lions is pretty bad. If they have the injury situation like they had last year, I don't have a lot of faith in their team. I understand the Hall of Fame game's kind of like you said, it's the extra preseason game. You play even less starters in this game than you would in your regular preseason games, but it looked pretty bad. The backups and the 3s there, probably a lot of guys on the field that night that won't sniff the roster.
Josh, what do you think? What do you think about that preseason game?
So for sure, absolute. Few takes on this. So I'll start with what Cody just ended with. I'll work at the top and we're going back. So definitely, I don't know, a little bit of a reach here, but you know what? Keep the spicy takes going a little bit. I definitely think the way the Lions played yesterday, one aspect of it is it really the offensive defensive coordinators, the star of the show the past couple of years, and them being gone just absolute them crap their pants. That they're completely lost without them. All the fire, grit, everything else, the creativity of the plays. I'll go to Chicago. We'll see with that part. Talent-wise, it's top heavy. I was recently going on about that. The talent that the Lions have reminds me of an iceberg. It's top heavy right there, but everything else below the surface is absolute dog water. And that you're strong. You're as strong as your weakest link. And if you're 75% of your team is weak, you can't rely on them. If anybody goes down, offensive coordinators or any opposing team are going to be licking at the chops and coming at that dude all day long. If you overcompensate, try to help him out, then we're exposed that side of the field, that side of the ball or whatnot. So there's that take on that point. So I think it should be interesting going forward and whatnot because they did not look good from all aspects, from offense to defense to blocking to tackling, running the ball, constant turnovers, look unsure, fielding punts and kick returns. Just not much positive, not much to look forward to. I know I guess it's just preseason, but if there's any percentage of what this could be in the season, high draft picks for 2026. Going outside of that with the whole Trey Lance kind of from the Minnesota-ish area up here. So, we were kind of wanting him, kind of maybe come on one of the Vikings, though, kind of work your way, from practice squad, work your way up and be a backup QB. Talking about backup QB. So what I think the Chargers were doing Trey Lance, I think they were trying to get him as much playing time as possible. Right? You never know. God forbid, Herbert goes down. But no need to fret because you got Trey Lance kind of up to speed, kind of used to the game, feeling comfortable in the offense, know the ins and outs, so you can trust him fill the full playback at him without having to hold back at all and trying to game manage. So I think that's a big part of why they were playing him majority of the game, which you don't see often preseason. You see backups maybe played a quarter or 2 quarters, not like majority of the game. So I think that's an important factor too. The importance of a backup quarterback has never been bigger. Because all too well the past 15 years, backup quarterbacks that essentially bring to the playoffs you never thought before, and not trying to give up. And we were rocking with Josh Dobbs for crying out loud, and had the best time of his career within 2 games, and then he kind of pooped himself. But with that, if they don't use him as a valuable backup dude, then they might turn into maybe a trade asset, trade value, where if he does, a quarterback needed team that is trying to make a push to the playoffs and whatnot, and they just need a quarterback, and they feel like there's somebody to be serviceable to get through it, they might call up the Chargers, hey, what do you guys want from him? And then it could go from there.
Jackson?
Yeah, I love that Josh is backing up his hot take and saying that Dan Campbell could be on the hot seat by the end of the year, saying that the coordinators are the reason they were so good. They're gone now, so I'd be interested to see. You just can't read too much into a game where it's 2s versus 3s versus 4s versus 2s. It's impossible to keep track of who's on the field and where their position on the team is, whether or not they're even going to make the roster. And in a game where one of the coaches before the game let the world know that they were planning on playing, not starting, but playing DJ Uiagalelei, tells me just how unserious that football game is. He's an abomination to football, and they let him step on the field again.
Dang. Florida State grad talking. Is that the Florida State in you talking?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, it's just the football fan in me. I mean, if you're a statistician, he had the worst season a quarterback could have statistically since they started throwing the football. It was abysmal. By every metric, he was the worst quarterback history has seen in the past 70 years. It was god awful. He was just, we finally threw some other quarterbacks in the mix, and they were better, but still bad. We threw a freshman in there for a little while, and we're like, let's see if this works. It's just nonsensical that a 6th-year senior got benched for a freshman and also still made an NFL, got any sort of a chance in the NFL. It makes no sense. But all that to circle back to, this was not a serious game. It's backups versus backups. You've got 2s versus 4s, and even then there's a massive difference in talent there. The Chargers cleaned up. They beat the mess out of the Vikings. But if you looked at either coach, Campbell's a competitor, so he looked unhappy at times. But it's not like he was ever super pressed about losing this game.
Yeah, I hear what you guys are saying, and not to overreact to this game, but listen, I think Trey Lance is going to be starting NFL games this year because I'm so impressed with what he did this week. I'm so impressed because I think continuously battled through adversity, the hate, everything for being a third overall pick. Let me give you two teams that I think will just say we have to get him. What do you want? What is your price? We will give it to you, and I think it will be a steal. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Trey Lance sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, like that just feels like that Jordan Love development, because he kind of have a lot of his mannerisms already from just being coached under Mike McCarthy and kind of the way he threw the ball and just the touch he had. I want to see that. I want to see if, because that would be perfect. Because I mean, what are the Pittsburgh Steelers doing next year at quarterback? I mean,
they don't even know.
They might find another old guy, or maybe they might just be begging Aaron Rodgers to come back if he has such a great year, right? Like, you never know.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be great.
Yeah, they already dipped their toes with the mobile quarterback having Justin Fields, and like, well, let's see what we got again. If Aaron's little brittle bones can't get a job done, you might want to let's bring back another mobile quarterback to get it done. Maybe because I already flirted with this, and they're like, let's run it back maybe with a different dude, but maybe a little cheaper.
Yeah, because we know that Arthur Smith didn't want Russell Wilson back. He preferred Justin Fields, but I believe Tomlin would kind of preferred Russell. Well, actually, he preferred Matt Stafford first, and then once that they realized they're not going to get him, they kind of pivoted. But I think in terms of for offense, like Arthur Smith wants a mobile quarterback to be able to do that stuff. How they landed on Aaron Rodgers in the year 2025. I mean, bottom of the barrel, whatever it is, right?
Right.
The second team that makes too much sense as well is the New Orleans Saints, right? This could be, obviously, if you just stink this year, which is probably what they might want to do, then you can run it and go get that, get whatever quarterback you want, Cade, Klubnik, Nussmeier, name them, right? That could be, but I think Trey could be like a stopgap, and then giving him like a modest deal, because I mean, there's still a lot of talent on that offense. That offense has a lot of talent, and they could do stuff. And I think they're still trying to hold on to that, that little bit of like, glory that they had, and it's like they replaced a lot of big parts, but like I think they're still a functional team. I mean, the clips I've seen of Tyler Shuck have not been good. They've been awful, actually, to be quite honest with you. Throwing the ball really short, kind of short arming a lot of stuff, and obviously it's it's clips. You're not the full practice. I'm not there right now in that New Orleans heat, thank goodness. But I just think those two teams make too much sense. If Trey Lance continues to ball out this preseason, that's like a story we have to look for, because I think, again, like if we're going to continue on this copycat league of like, hey, like let's give these retread quarterbacks another shot, with your Sam Darnolds, your Bakers, your Genos, your Justin Fields, and and if that's the case, because I feel like a lot of these quarterbacks are getting the shorter end of the stick their first go around, so I think Trey Lance is that next person.
What's crazy? Trey Lance is only 4 months younger than Tyler Shuck, and he's been in the league for 4 years.
That's insane.
Tyler Shuck played like 7 years, and I think he was the backup for Herbert as a freshman, and Herbert's been in the league for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that one happening more, but I think they're just gonna either Tyler Shuck's their guy, or they're in the draft for next year, because there's probably gonna be about 3-4 guys in the first round. The Steelers, I think, is your.
It's gonna be Rattler.
You think it'll be Rattler over Shuck?
Yeah, I heard Rattler's been killing it in the training camp.
I don't know.
That sounds like an awful position
option
to be in.
Yeah, I think either option is not good, but yeah, I think they're going to be in the quarterback carousel next year, like you said. Nussmeier, Klubnik, is Sellers. Is he a sophomore, or is he a junior?
Yeah, he'll be eligible.
He's eligible.
He'll be eligible.
Yeah, one of those guys. I think Arch stays in college, but one of the quarterbacks that come out, even Levitt from Arizona State, I think is a good quarterback as well. So I think they'll be in the quarterback market next year. So, but the Steelers is interesting. Because like you said, their backup right now is still Rudolph, and he's like always their backup. He always finds a way to be like on the roster and their backup or something. So he could go there. Like we saw 2 years ago that Aaron Rodgers isn't exactly as durable as he used to be. Could that happen again? Their offensive line is not good. So that could definitely be an option there for them to look at. If Trey Lance, I would give it a couple more preseason games to see if he continues this play instead of just the Hall of Fame game. If he continues to look like this, then yeah, I think there will be some calls for trades to the Chargers.
There's nothing better than getting that pregame punch, slap, deep look into Harbaugh's eyes to get you ready to play a football game. I just wish I could pay money to have that experience where Harbaugh just slaps me on my shoulders and chest and looks me deep in my eye to tell me you can do anything. I think I need that on Monday mornings, to be honest with you, because it'd be rough. It's rough Monday once it gets started for the week. Let's talk about the class of 2026 of the Hall of Fame and the names that we have possibly getting inducted. And I want you guys to let me know Hall of Fame, first ballot or not, okay? We'll just go around the horn just to give me a Hall of Fame or not. We're going to go Larry Fitzgerald. Josh, you go ahead.
Yes.
Cody.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes, we've got a cameo from my roommate who's giving an enthusiastic thumbs up as well.
Hey, nice hands, Larry. I love those Fantasy Files commercials he used to be in. Those are good.
Yeah,
Love them.
Those old fantasy those were the best. Yeah.
I missed them so great.
All right, in reverse order. Jackson first. Drew Brees. First ballot. This is first ballot. That means next year, lock going in.
Asking a Panthers fan. Let's go.
Yeah, true.
No.
Ooh, okay. Cody?
Wow. I'm going with yes. I think he's like top 3 in every like statistical category you could have. So I'm going yes.
Josh?
Nope.
No. Okay. I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna go through this list and then we'll come back. Okay. Let me write this down. All right. The next name on this list, because I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. It is Phillip Rivers.
First ballot for him as well?
Yeah.
It's a no for me. Not first ballot.
Okay. Cody, Josh.
I'm a Cody on this one. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well. It's tied to my Drew Brees logic, so we'll get to it.
Ooh, the triple no. Okay. The next one we have, starting with Jackson, we'll go Jason Witten.
First ballot for him too?
First ballot. All of these, everyone I'm going to ask first ballot, because these are the guys who are their first year eligible to be into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I'm gonna hate to do it. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Cody?
I think he'll be a Hall of Famer eventually. Not first ballot, though. I'm going to go no.
Okay. Josh?
I say yes. I mean, dude was balling all the time. Dude was bodying people, running people over, stiff arming, was great at blocking. Dude did everything that man could to help carry that team. Quarterback, whoever was rocking, I say yes.
Okay, Cody, I'll let you start this one. Frank Gore.
Ooh, that's tough because you don't realize that the stats he put up because he played forever. I'm going to go no first ballot. Yes, Hall of Famer, no first ballot.
Okay. Josh?
God, he was balling at the same time as AP was. God. Yeah, his numbers are up there because he did play a long time.
A really long time.
I say yes. I mean, he was carrying that team all by himself at times. So, and it was pretty much the main reason why they would be winning games. When I say yes.
Jackson?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go Julian Edelman. Jackson, you can start this one.
First ballot. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Josh?
I say no too. I mean, do bald, but not first ballot bald. All right, Cody.
Cody?
Hurts my heart, but it's a no. Yeah, love the guy, but it's a no. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay. All right. We're gonna do three more, and then we'll start talking about these. All right. Cody, you start this one, and we go Cody, Josh, then Jackson, and this one is LaShawn McCoy.
Ooh, that's tough. Shady had some like great years. There was a good like 3, 4, 5 year stretch where he was elite. Oh man. I'm gonna go yes.
Okay. Josh?
I say no. He didn't ball long enough to warrant first ballot Hall of Fame stuff. I say no.
Okay. Jackson?
I'm gonna say yes. So many iconic moments. He was too hard to tackle.
Okay. Jackson, I'll let you get this first one for this one. Thomas Davis.
Ooh, I appreciate the Panthers throw there. I'm gonna take the homer route and say yes.
Okay. Cody?
Sorry, Jackson. I think he'll get in the Hall of Fame eventually, but not first ballot.
Josh?
I double what Cody said. Same thing.
Okay. All right, Cody. Last one. Actually, I'm gonna do one more. Last one. Greg Olson.
No. Great player. I think he's a great analyst. I think he's a great commentator, but not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Josh?
Do ball, but yeah, he didn't produce as much to warrant that. I think that's just my opinion. So that's my take. No.
And Jackson.
I said no to Witten, so I can't say yes to Greg Olson. I think that the production is similar, the legacy is similar. It would be a very homer take to be like yes to Olson and no to Witten. So I'll say no.
Okay. Jackson, I'll let you get this last one. Start this last one off. I want to see what you guys think, but Todd Gurley.
Definitely not first ballot. He could be someone that like squeaks in many ballots down the line and people are like, huh? And then it's us old heads that are like, you don't understand how dominant Todd Gurley was when he was like good.
Cody?
Fantasy Football Hall of Fame. I had him a couple of years in his prime, and it was just awesome. But regular Hall of Fame, no. I don't even know. He could be a guy like in 30 years, like some of these older guys, they get in on like the senior list that like, oh yeah, that's right. And then Todd Gurley gets in, but that's a no for me.
Josh?
Yeah, I say no. I don't think flash in the pans warrants you getting the Hall of Fame. Unless like all of a sudden the Hall of Fame building burns down, then you need some new iron sculpt heads to fill it in all over again with Todd Gurley, then sure, but I don't think the flash of the pants don't count.
Okay. So now I want to kick it to Jackson here. So now I want to hear what you had to say about your quarterback take with Drew Brees and what's your reasoning? I think you said no, right, to Drew Brees?
I did say no. Yeah, I said no for both Brees and Rivers. I think they're just not going to put a quarterback in this class. Why? I don't think there's any real distinct reason. But I think that in the shadow of Brady being, their era as well, and Brady having just retired, and us reflecting on his, legacy, I think that they'll probably go with positions outside of quarterback for now. Both of those quarterbacks, if not the first ballot, will be on the second one, like no doubt. They are like it was said, Drew Brees quietly led like most statistical categories his entire career. He was always someone to be afraid of when you were lining up against them, and Phillip Rivers too. I like Phillip Rivers for his swagger. He was always this guy that just like, he talks so much shit for, and he always backed it up, but like he would
never
come out
cuss
angry.
either.
Yeah,
Never cuss when you talk trash.
Yeah.
Favorite thing about it was that he would talk so much and not cuss. So he just sounded like a fool out there, but he picked defenses apart. So I'd say that unfairly, they won't have any quarterbacks on the ballot, but both of them are like surefire second ballot.
I will give you my hot take. And me and my buddy on my channel, we talked about the Hall of Fame and how like I do feel like the Hall of Fame has got diluted. I think if Eli Manning gets in, I think the Hall of Fame needs to be burned down, similar to what Josh was talking about.
I'll second that.
I mean, you take out Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl.
Okay, here we go. Okay, bring culture again. But the most average quarterback in NFL history by definition and record, literally, 500, whatever. Anyways. So
I'm with you on that take, CJ. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I don't think that Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer.
No.
And here's why. Phillip Rivers was unfortunately, he probably would have been a Hall of Famer and probably a multiple-time champion and MVP if he did not, play in the golden era of quarterbacks. Obviously, having to be with Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning, being just in the AFC, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady consistently every year being your downfall. I think that is definitely going to, taint his legacy. Obviously, the numbers were there. I don't even think he's gotten like an all-pro to his name. He's like a Pro Bowler. I think Pro Bowls are kind of shams. All pros is what you should really be looking at. And then Drew Brees, the numbers are there. He definitely, I would have Drew Brees over Phillip Rivers, but slightly. I would probably give Drew Brees the nod into a Hall of Famer versus Phillip Rivers. But I just don't think Phillip Rivers is there. And I think he's like in the part of the Hall of Very Good, but he's not like the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Greats. That's just what I believe.
I mean, maybe also being tainted with the whole being on the same team as the whole Bounty Gate thing that they had back in 2009, and then NFC Championship game with Favre, the whole that thing too. And who knows if the career would have been different if he would have stayed with the Chargers way back when.
I mean, that would have been a blessing. If Phillip Rivers was actually going to the New York Giants, I think the Giants might have won more than 2 Super Bowls. And I hate saying that because I don't like the Giants. Eli is just that bad. He's not good, guys. He's not good. If I was Phillip Rivers, I won't hold a grudge against the Manning family, to be honest with you, how they stole his draft position. He was in a good spot. But he didn't want to go to San Diego. He obviously doesn't like nice beaches. He likes the cold, the winter, the city life, I guess. I don't know. Couldn't be me.
I don't know. He had Antonio Gates and LT for years in their prime. They had the 1 seed a couple of times too. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer, not first or second ballot. I think it's probably somewhere down the line, but I think Breeze is no doubt first ballot. But I get some of the pushback there. He was kind of like the more of the stats guy than the wins guy outside of the 1 Super Bowl. But with Phillip Rivers, I think he'll eventually get in. But I have heard that same take. There's a lot of people out there I think will think he will never get in because of the stats, but he has no big wins. I think he made it to 1 AFC Championship game, played on a torn ACL, but lost that game, and then that's like the furthest he's gone. So yeah, it's a tough call though.
Who do you guys think is the better quarterback, Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning?
Phillip Rivers.
I think Rivers is a better quarterback too.
I say
I will give Eli. Yeah,
he can move more.
Yeah. Eli does play good in big games, so I'll give him.
Does he?
He
Two
at least he can make.
I can think of 2 big games.
Super Bowl.
I can't stop
those
thinking about 2
defenses
big
literally.
games.
Those defenses
I can never forget about
handed him the game.
I mean, he was throwing dimes when it needed to happen, though.
You talking about the catch on Tyreek's head? We had to do everything possible.
Well, he didn't give up on that play. He had 2 or 3 guys draping. I mean, get off me. Get off me. Shoot. Got that ball down.
I'm having nightmares.
Sorry, dude. Or it was like Manningham or whatever. Double coverage to the sideline, 50 yards down the field to kind of solidify when they really needed it to. I mean, you balled when he had to ball.
He had the ball in a lot of games, but guess what? He didn't, and he lost a lot of games as well.
It's true, but you know what? As a Vikings fan, two more Super Bowls than we won't have yet. So I'll give props to the dude against Cody and the Patriots who won like 1,000 Super Bowls. So I mean, this Tom Brady wanted to just outduel them those games, and Eli reminds them all the time that who's his daddy essentially.
All right, who's the better quarterback, Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees? Last question, and we'll get out of here.
I'm going Breeze.
Yep.
I unfortunately say Breeze.
So who should get in the Hall of Fame first, Drew Brees or Eli Manning? I lied. That was another question.
I mean, Breeze should. Yeah, Breeze.
Breeze, yeah.
I say Eli.
All right. On that note, thank you guys for watching From the Sidelines. We're here every single Sunday at 8 p.m. NFL is back. Next week, we'll be talking a lot more preseason action. We'll see who stood out, who looks terrible, who's already going to be on the hot seat, who's ready to get fired, like Dan Campbell and Josh. Obviously, Dan Campbell's a big op for Josh. We'll find out how much that rivalry will continue next week from the sideline. See you guys.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water. Don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.